in? Can I get some responses by way of emojis, hands, or you can type something? Market dominance versus market leadership. Okay, perfect. So I see the response that we prefer market leadership. So let us think in the line of market leadership as opposed to market dominance, because market dominance gives impression or connotes competitiveness or competition, if you like, while market leadership goes beyond that. It includes collaboration, it includes a bit of competition, of course, but it includes innovation and, of course, setting standards. So without further ado, now that I've explained why I did that bit of tweaking in the topic, let's get into the meat of this session. Again, I want to thank you, but let's start with what I call a starter. And I like to do this all the time because we are talking about sales marketing and leading in the industry. Now, every morning in the game reserve in Africa, a gazelle wakes up knowing he must run faster than the fastest lion or be killed. In that same jungle every morning, a lion awakens knowing it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. Now, it doesn't matter whether you are a lion or a gazelle. It doesn't matter whether you're a small business or a big business. It doesn't matter whether you operate in Nigeria or in Ghana, whether you operate in Lagos, in Osun State, or in Kano. When the sun comes up, you better be running. Now, what does this tell us? It tells us that survival instinct that plays out in a typical jungle with reference to Africa. And if you want to specifically pinpoint, you can focus on like the Serengeti, game reserve in Africa, where you have lions, you have cheetahs, and of course you have gazelles and buffaloes, all operating and working and grazing and looking for their prey within the same environment. Now, I want you to transpose that into what happens in the marketplace, in the industry where you play. There are bigger players, medium-sized players, small players, even micro players. And nobody gives a damn as to whether you started 3 years ago or whether you started 100 years ago. Everyone wants to be a strong player and leader in the industry. And how does that happen? That's exactly why we're here. Leadership in sales marketing. Let us try to understand what our focus should be. So, what is our approach today? I understand and I know for a fact that we'll have a number of fantastic speakers who are going to be speaking on different sub-themes for this masterclass. And therefore, I've decided to narrow my approach in a way that I don't expand it too much, but be a bit more specific on what I think every business, medium, small, or micro, should focus on if truly you want to be a leader in sales marketing and be able to not just have a bigger share of the market, but be a leader in that market. Accordingly, I have decided today that my focus will be first on customer. It's going to be next on competition. And then we're going to talk a bit about Blue Ocean strategy. I'm sure some of you have heard about it or know about it. And then we are going to close it with culture. These four aspects, I believe, are very important if you want to be a leader in sales marketing. Very, very important. So let's look at it. Now, my first question to you as entrepreneurs, business owners, managers, leaders in your industry, or those who desire very strongly to be leaders in your industry is customer or competition? Which would you rather focus on? Customer or competition? You may just give a few responses and you can just type, or I don't even mind if you open your mic, just one or two persons and just say it, but I'm checking to see what responses I get. Customer or competition? Okay, somebody says customer. Yes, can we get one or two more? Customer or competition? Customer. Customer. Okay, I've got three responses all saying customer. Yes, why not? That is the thinking. That focus should be on customer. But why should we not focus on the competitor? Is there anything wrong in focusing on the competitor? That's another question. I agree, I align with you, customer, yes. But why should we not focus on the competitor? Now, let's get it. While I'm expecting some responses to get in, but let's look at it. Now, if you look at the two images I have on my screen, you can see a dog and a dog owner. And if you look at the expression on their faces, you'll understand that something is wrong. These ideally should be two partners who should be happy, cooperating, but they are not looking happy. Now, if you look on the other side, you will see a wolf and a hyena. A wolf and a hyena ideally should be enemies, competitors, should fight to death to kill each other. But in this image, it doesn't look like they are fighting. It doesn't look like they want to kill each other. I want you to keep these two images in mind, right, while we make some progress. Now, I have another question for you. Customer satisfaction or customer loyalty? Which would you rather focus on, or which one, is of great interest to you? Customer satisfaction or customer loyalty? I have customer satisfaction, yes. I want more answers. We're going somewhere. Customer satisfaction, I see. Somebody says customer satisfaction. That's all I'm saying. Customer satisfaction, customer satisfaction. Yes, let's have one or two more. Customer satisfaction or customer loyalty? Someone says customer satisfaction will bring about customer loyalty. I don't disagree. I agree with you. Yes. Okay. This is quite interesting. And I'm happy I brought this up because there's a thin line and sometimes we connect them wrongly. Customer satisfaction or customer loyalty. Now, both are very important. But if you want to become a sales, a marketing leader in your industry, while it is important to pay attention and ensure that you satisfy your customer, it is even more important to ensure that you have customer loyalty. So customer loyalty is more important. I'm going to try to explain that in a very simple way that it's easier for us to understand. Now, let's try to understand the difference between customer satisfaction and customer loyalty before I break it down with some real life examples, right? So customer satisfaction comes from the service provided. It could be one-off service. And the customer feels, oh, wow, I am satisfied. It could be provided. Fantastic. So you can ask the customer, what is your level of satisfaction from this service provided? And that's why some companies will go ahead to do some customer service surveys to understand the level of satisfaction. So that it comes from a service provided. Customer loyalty comes from building relationship built in the course of providing service. I don't know if you understand the difference now. Customer loyalty comes from relationship built in the course of providing service. So we can decide to provide service, say, are you satisfied? Yes, and that's it. And next time I come, are you satisfied? And that's it. But I can decide to provide that service satisfactorily, but I go beyond to build a relationship. And now the question is, why is it important to build relationships, to move from customer satisfaction to customer loyalty? Like somebody says customer satisfaction brings customer loyalty. That's true. But there are times when the loyalty can actually be built without necessarily customer satisfaction. We can look at that at some point, but let's try to understand the difference. And I want us to imagine a scenario that I want to paint, for example. Now, as a person, Pascal DK, I fly Qatar Airways. I'm in love with Qatar Airways. Now, in my eyes, Qatar Airways cannot be wrong. It doesn't matter what you say about that airline. I will tell you, forget it. I'm not going to change my mind. Now, why is it so? Is it that other airlines that have flown have not satisfied me as a customer? No. Don't forget, an airline has a contract with you when you want to fly it. It is to take you from your point of departure to point of destination on time and safely. On time and safely. That is a contract that you have. Now, you will imagine that sometimes when you get to some, transit airports, for example, you get into Doha, right? you see some Qatar Airways staff making you welcome, offering you coffee. I'm not talking when you go to the lounge now. When you are in the aircraft, sometimes they come to you to ask if you need anything, you know, they call your names, they're coming back to see if everything is okay and all of that. Those additional services are not part of the contract, right? So any airline that wants to fly you, the primary contract the airline has with you is to move from point of departure to point to your destination on time and safely. Now, you cannot sue an airline, for example, to say, oh, when I got to your airport, nobody came to welcome me. You cannot. Or say, while I was sitting in the aircraft, I had some pains on my leg and nobody came to ask me how you're doing. You cannot. Or you can sue an airline when they delay you now, delay you more than 7 or 8 hours, right? Or if there are safety issues, you can sue. Now, those airlines that go over and above to have personal relationships with their passengers to try to make them feel comfortable, do different things. The intention is truly to build loyalty. And that's why now you have what they call the loyalty programs in different airlines. I'm sure we all know about that, right? Those loyalty programs are not just about customer satisfaction. It's about, just to be sure, can you still all hear me? Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So I was saying that those loyalty programs are meant to keep their passengers and their customers loyal. Those are the extra things they do. So you can understand there's a big difference between customer loyalty and customer satisfaction. And that's why for me, because of those personal relationship, personal touch, those true customer experiences, it doesn't matter what you say about Qatar Airways, I stay with them. I've flown other aircraft, airlines, KLM, Emirates Airlines, and there are quite a number of airlines that satisfies you when it comes to taking you from a point of departure to your point of destination on time and safely. But there are some that go over and beyond. And I'm not talking about Qatar Airways only. There are others who do the same thing for their customers, but I'm giving an example of where that difference is. Now, one thing we must understand, and let me also paint this example. Now, imagine that you have procured a flat screen television from a company, and then a few days later, you got a call, and the individual at the other end calls your name. Hello, Mr. DK. I'm from XYZ company, from where you bought your flat screen TV. I'm calling to know if you're satisfied with the product. And the guy says yes, but you say, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how will you rate your satisfaction level? And the guy says, well, I have a complaint. And the complaint is that I'm not able to adjust the knob. I'm not able to adjust the knob. And the guy says, oh, okay. But still, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you assess the product? And the guy says, I'm sorry, I'm telling you I'm not able to adjust the knob, and you're focusing on asking me a question in terms of satisfaction. And then the lady at the other end says, okay, sorry, we are a consulting company hired by the XYZ company to get customer satisfaction survey. You may have to call the company directly to answer your question. And then it drops the call. Now, the question is, do you think that was a right approach? Do you think that was the right approach? That's the first question. Now, let's take another scenario. Another call comes in from another company where you procured, let's say, the same flat screen television. And the individual calls and you says, okay, how's the product doing? Are you satisfied with it? You say, yes, I'm satisfied with that. But again, I'm not able to adjust the knob. And the guy says, oh, okay. Even though it's a bit late, but I'm going to stop by on my way home, just to check to see what it is and see if we can resolve it. And the customer says, oh, great, I'll be waiting for you. And then the lady from the company says, and that reminds me, next week we're going to have some customer experience program, and it's free. I don't know if you would like to join us. I have a slot for you. You guys say, oh, why not? Now, same situation, different approaches. Same situation, different approaches. So the question therefore is, from both, you will understand that the first caller was interested in just a survey to get an answer. Are you satisfied? If you rate between 1 to 10, are you satisfied? While the second person was more interested not just in the satisfaction level, but to be sure that you are happy with the product and has made a promise to solve the problem. So between the two, if we're a customer, who would you want to do a repeat business with? Can I get some responses? Who would you want to do a repeat business with? Some responses. Are we still on the call? The second person, definitely. So let's think about it. Why customer satisfaction is important, building customer loyalty is more important. So let's move on a little to say a survey has been done why customers quit. Okay, and it's important for us to take note of this. So some customers quit, about 2% as a result of death. I mean, they're not existing anymore, so they can't do business with you. Some customers quit, 5%, because of change of address. Customers quit from pressure from friends, for those who probably want to take them to somewhere else because probably they want to get a commission, this referral thing, or I have somewhere you come to, you're going to be happy about it and all of that. They put pressure on you, and then you change from one customer to the other, 5%. Product benefit, 10%. Force of competition, when those who are providing the same services or products like you have presented, a more compelling, product in terms of superiority, quality, and all of that, and they move. And they say 68%, and in some survey, 84% says attitude of personnel. So you can look at the two examples we cited on the customer satisfaction and customer loyalty. You can see that the difference there was purely attitude. It was purely attitude. And because of that, people can actually stay with you because you've got the right attitude, not necessarily because you've got the best product. And let me tell you, it is possible that while you are providing service to a customer, there could be some mistakes or some errors. A customer who has built relationship with you, who is loyal with you, can actually forgive those errors and continue to deal with you, right? As long as it's not too fundamental. But in terms of customer satisfaction, without the relationship, it's easier for the customer to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to continue with you, because there's no relationship. And that's why it's important that when we go to sell, and this is important when it comes to sell, we must not focus so much on being transactional. No, we just want to close the deal. The other day, I went to a mall in Sangote to pick up some items on my way to a site location. And as I was getting into my car, a lady just came close to me and said, sorry, sir, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, yes. He said, my name is this, and we sell land, we have land banking. She just went and said, I'm talking about land banking, and all of that. Okay. And I said, okay, that's great. Take my number, and I didn't want to wait for too long. And she took the number, and I drove off. Now, what if the approach had been, oh, can I talk to you again? How's your day today? So I hope everything's going very well, and all of that. There's a way you can come in and you sell the emotion. You can start, for example, by saying that today there are a lot of land issues in Lagos. People are losing their lands because they don't have the right titles, they don't have government approvals, and even with the coastal road construction, a lot of people have lost their lands and all of that. And we are a real estate company that have partnership with ABC, and we have qualified surveyors, lawyers. We've got partnership with Lagos State Land Bureau and all of that. There's a foundation you build. And then I want to pay attention to, because people have had experiences. And so if all we want to do is tell you have land, you expect me to, oh, okay, I want to buy the land. It doesn't make sense. Right? So you don't just sell products, you sell emotions. I was telling somebody the other day, if I'm going to sell a fire extinguisher to you, I don't have to say, okay, in case your car goes up in flame, or you have fire incident at your home or your office, some people will say you're sounding too negative. But if I say I want to sell fire extinguisher to you because I want to be able to provide you some peace of mind, I start from there. Who doesn't like peace of mind? But some people don't want to hear my car, goes up in flame, my house is on fire and all of that. Some peace of mind. and say with it, you're sure that if anything happens, eventuality, you are sure you can take care of things. You start from that point of emotion to get the person connected. That's critically important. So I wanted to make that distinction between the focus on customer satisfaction and, of course, on customer loyalty. And be careful, the people who sell your products, those you send out to do marketing, to understand today that attitude is more important, right, than the quality of your product, than the connections you have, or your visibility, or number of clients you think you have. It's important for us to look at that attitude, and with attitude we can build a strong customer loyalty. Now, customers have a lot of complaints, and this is something we must pay attention as business owners, entrepreneurs, and be able to attend to them. Because one thing that customer loyalty does is that the provider does not just listen to the complaint of the customer. The provider does everything possible to resolve the complaint, right, in a very timely manner. You do everything. You cannot always be 100%, but in a timely manner. And that's why customers complain. 96% of customers don't complain at all, right? They simply walk away, and that's the truth. Especially when they see the attitude that you are not, putting up a helping attitude, that willingness to help. They just walk away. 91% of those who complain will not come back. So please, focus is customer, don't forget. Because it doesn't matter how fantastic your company, your business is. If you do not have customers to provide services who buy your products, then you are not in business. Each dissatisfied customer tells an average of 12 others when they feel dissatisfied. It costs 5 times more to get new customers than to keep existing ones. Right? Because you have to spend a lot together, especially when there's a force of competition in the market. A significant reason for complaint is poor customer care, right? How your customer representatives, deal with your clients and your customers, respond to their queries, handle their complaints, and all of that, all that put together. So you need to begin to ask the question, how do I get my people, my team, myself, attuned to that mindset of customer loyalty over and above customer satisfaction? That's important. Okay. Now, I wanted to share this because sometimes we just talk about customer, but you need to ask yourself, who truly are these customers? Because customers actually are in 3, segments. And when I say customers, I'm not talking about just those who have done business with you. Even those who have not done business with you, who could do business, are also potential customers, so you can end them. So I want us to keep this in mind, because sometimes we feel so comfortable, so complacent, so carefree and careless in dealing and handling our existing customers. In fact, our existing customers are the low-hanging fruits. They are the boss. They are the diamond. You must treat them, with care. You must treat them with respect. You must handle them as though they are very fragile, because without them, you are not in business. And that's what they say, a bird at hand is worth 1,000 in the bush. So why should we not focus on those customers we have? So I'm going to share with you what I call the 3 customers. And the first is what I call soon-to-be non-customers. Do you know who these people are, or these customers? I'm checking. Can we just type something? Soon-to-be non-customers. Do you know who they are? Let's see. Soon-to-be non-customers. I'm waiting for responses. Please, can we type something? Who are the soon-to-be non-customers? Okay, now I don't want to do a check. Okay, I'm getting responses. They have complaints. Somebody says prospects. Those that are no longer satisfied. Yes, I take that. There are customers you have today. You are providing services. You are selling your product and all of that. But they are not satisfied. And sometimes what happens is because we are just interested in that transactional, a deal. We are not paying attention to their complaints, to their body languages. Sometimes you get a phone call, they say, I'm very busy, I'm going to call you later. Sometimes they try to avoid your call. They're not able to tell you straight away. Like we said, that 96% of those who are dissatisfied will just walk away and not come back. They begin to avoid your call. And you think it's normal, you think it's okay. You are still pushing and calling, you just want to sell product. Now, The soon-to-be non-customers, like someone just said, are the customers you have now who are not very satisfied and who will soon walk away. Now, in your approach to sales marketing, you want to be a leader. One part of what makes you a leader is to be able to understand when your customers are not feeling satisfied and they are on the verge of jumping ship to another competitor. So this is something every business must be conscious of. You know them. You know, I'll give you one quick example. We have somebody who was bringing shipments from overseas. And one of the shipments, there was a big issue, a very big issue. So from my office, my manager was communicating with the shipping agents, manager, and they were going back and forth. They were copying myself and the chairman of the company, in all the mails, and we didn't say anything. And I know that the chairman of the company was expecting me to have either called him or responded to the mail. I refused to do so. Then in one of the mails, he just wrote and said that this matter will be resolved. I didn't say anything. He sent me a message once, like a text message. I did not respond because I was sure that they were not acting proactively. If they had stepped in as when the matter started, it would not have escalated so much. But you know what changed it? One day, unannounced, the chairman drove to my office with two other the company staff and came in and sat down. And when he spoke to me, it didn't take 15-20 minutes. Everything was resolved. And in 1 month, they get another order for a shipment. You know what? Because they realized at some point that they might lose us. And so what did the chairman do? He realized it wasn't something that the subordinates could solve. He decided to step into the matter and came to the office, and in less than 20 minutes, all the matters were resolved. They took responsibility for the errors and the mistakes they made, and decided to share the losses in terms of financial losses with us. And we're happy. And we gave them additional business, and we're still giving them till tomorrow. So that is when you understand your soon-to-be non-customers. You must understand how to deal with them. So please take note of that and don't joke with them. The other one is what we call the conscious non-customers. Who are they? Who are the conscious non-customers? Let's get some responses. Conscious non-customers. I'm waiting. Conscious non-customers. Conscious non-customers. Who are they? Entrepreneurs, business owners. This is a masterclass. Who are the conscious non-customers? Conscious non-customers. I'm waiting for responses. Looks like have I lost you all? Okay, can I get a response? If you don't mind, just to be sure. Okay, that's true. Conscious non-customers are those who know about your business, they know about your product, they know about your services, but yet, for some reason, they have not patronized you. Those are the conscious non-customers. And so, as an entrepreneur and business owner who wants to be a sales marketing leader in the industry, the question you need to ask yourself and answer is, if we have a fantastic customer experience, if we have fantastic good quality products, if we are leading, we are innovating, we are creative, why is it that these potential customers know about our products, we have presented our products to them, but yet they have not done business with us? That's the question you need to ask. It therefore means that something is wrong somewhere. And therefore you need to go into, do what I call self-interrogation. From yourself, the leader in the business, then the leader in the business, from yourself, the leader in the business, to all the subordinates and all those who are working with you. You need to go and ask, how is it that these potential customers know about us, the quality of our product, but yet they have not made up their mind to do business with us? So that is also what a leader in the sales and marketing sector of your business should be able to know. And this sometimes has to do with survey. You need to probably engage some experts to help you answer that question. But sometimes that question is right on your face. It could be because of the attitude. It could be because of, the belief that they are already dealing with a better competitor, and there's no need for them to move. They have loyalty in that area. Like I said, if you want to move me from Qatar Airways to another airline, I'm not going to go because I'm there. So it doesn't matter how much you present the other airlines and all the beautiful things. I have no reason to leave Qatar Airways. So the same thing happens. So you need to work on how to get those customers to deal with it. Then the last one is what we call the unexplored non-customers. Who are they? The unexplored non-customers. Now, for want of our time, the unexplored non-customers is actually the biggest segment. As you can see in the image I have, is the biggest segment. Because the truth, there are more people who should benefit from your product who are not. They don't know about you, your product, your service. They've not heard about you. They are there. There are a lot. They might even have need for your product and your services, but they don't know you. They don't know you exist. That is the biggest and the largest segment. So the question is, what do you want to do as a sales marketing leader in your industry to be able to explore these unexplored non-customers, to get into them? Now, that is, again, where you need to ask the question, are you going to focus more on getting these customers and building loyalty, or you just want to do one-time business and then walk away? So this is, again, where the individual members in your company, right, the quality of the product, and then the visibility that you have. Visibility, very important now, because when people know you, that's when they want to check what quality you have. If they don't know you, they cannot talk about your quality. So to be able to get into the minds and the hearts and attract these unexplored non-customers, the first thing you have to do is do whatever is necessary to be visible. So if you have a target, like you have delineated and say, okay, I want to target people in this geographical space, right? Age brackets, industry, male or female, what part of the country, what part of the world you create, and then you focus them. You must make sure that these persons continue to see your products and you are visible to them every day, every time online. I know there was a product I patronized some time ago. Is a health product. I bought it once online. And you know what happens? Each time I go to Facebook to do anything, there is an advert from that company right on my face. When they continue, one day I saw another type of product that they have, and I have to buy again. And I bought like 4 times since then, because they continued to be visible and I could not ignore them. So you must be visible if you want to, because sales is not just about going there and say, buy my product. Visibility is very important before even referral, which is the greatest way to sell, right? So visibility is important. Keep being on their faces all the time, every time, so that they cannot and should never ignore you. So that's done with the customer thing. Now, I said the next thing we're going to look at is competition. But if you check, there was an asterisk when I was talking about the area of focus or approach. The asterisk on competition is because I want to use a different approach in dealing with this competition thing, what I call collaborative competition. Collaborative competition, right? So what is collaborative competition? Now, as you can see in the image, and I did explain it before, it's very unusual. Expectedly, in fact, the wolf and the hyena are enemies. They fight to death when they meet, in the jungle. But there are times when the wolf and the hyena partner. Now, you know that the buffalo is a very large animal. Some of them weigh more than 350, 500 pounds of weight. That it is almost impossible for one hyena or for one wolf to, in fact, it's impossible for one hyena or one wolf to bring down a buffalo. So now, because the wolf and the hyena, of course, they are predators, they fight to death in the jungle, but the moment they see a buffalo, they forget about their enmity, their competition, and they work collaboratively to bring down the buffalo, and they will share the buffalo without a fight. Collaborative competition. So I want to talk about competition, but I want to speak to competition in terms of collaboration. And that's what I want us to look at, because what I have observed, particularly in this climate, this part of the world in Nigeria, is that you have the founder of the business is the president, is the chairman, is the CEO, is everything, and everything that we think about is competition. Everything we think about is competition. And sometimes we focus so much on competition that we are distracted and we lose opportunities. And we're not focusing on competition to be able to compete favorably. We are focusing on competition to check, what is our competition doing? Okay, you go and do the same thing. Your competition moves up again, you move up again. It's like you are not following your competition. No. I say this, and let me make this point clear. You may note it down. In your industry, never strive to be the best. I know this sounds funny. Never strive to be the best. How do you measure the best? My challenge to you is, in your industry, always strive to be different, always strive to be unique. And we're going to have some examples of companies that have demonstrated that. They're not in competition with you to be the best, but they are unique and they are different. And because they are unique and they stand out, and everybody seems to want to go in that direction. Because people are tired of the same thing every day, right? Competition to be the best. Who cares? It should be about being different and being unique. So in your sales and marketing approach as a leader, please position yourself to be unique and to be different. Okay, so let's look at collaborative competition, which is also known as co-petition. It's also called co-petition. It's a business strategy where companies that are normally competitors work together in certain areas to create mutual value while continuing to compete in other areas. Now, you see, this is important. Companies that are normally competitors who work together in certain areas to create mutual value. Because it doesn't matter how fantastic, it doesn't matter the level of expertise you have in your industry, there are some areas where you are not at your best, or you don't have all the expertise and tools and resources. I know in those areas where you want to struggle, the best thing is for you to what? Collaborate, even with your competitor. I was saying something to someone. I went to do a presentation 2 days ago. And in that presentation, I saw a man who is into the same kind of business that we do. And we're having a conversation, and we realized that, look, we do the same thing, but we're able to identify two areas. One area where we are not. In fact, we bring in people, we bring in contractors or consultants to do that part of business for us. And that's the area that he has strength. And we identify another area, when it comes to automatic fire suppression systems, for example, he doesn't do it. And so, that's our area. And then we say, okay, fine, so let us collaborate. If you go out there and you see something that has to do with automatic fire suppression system, please invite us. And we see something that has to do with home automation, we also invite you. All right? And that's what we did. And so that is collaborative competition. We compete, but we find common areas where we create mutual value, and we do that. All right. So, what is the advantages of co-petition or the collaborative competition we talked about? Because I don't want to focus on asking you to continually be competitive. I mean, you know how, but I believe that co-petition or collaborative competition works a lot, and we're going to see some specific examples. So the advantages is you share costs and risks, because sometimes resources will be involved, expertise will be involved, risks are involved. So if you put your resources together, it means what you're committing in terms of finances is a little smaller. The risks are shared just the same way that whatever the benefits are shared. So when you cooperate or collaborate, even with your competitor, you share the cost and you share the risk. The other advantage of collaborative competition or competition is you speed up innovation. You bring your teams together, you bring the ideas together, and then innovation is quicker and faster. Instead of spending so much money, time, analyzing and delaying, when you bring other people's ideas in, it makes it quicker and you all share from it. Access to new markets or technology. Yeah, there might be some markets that you don't have access to. I am there, but there are some in those markets. Of course, I bring you into it, and you do the same thing for me. It also improves industry practices, example, sustainability, regulations. I've seen in this country where two competing companies had to work together to get a project with the Federal Ministry of Education. Now, one company has access, right? It has connections. But there was one document, a regulatory document that the ministry needed that company didn't have it. It has to call a competitor and say, okay, I have got this contract, we're going to get this job. I don't have this certificate required by the regulators. Do you have it? Say yes. Okay, come on board. And they both did the job jointly. So one has the connection, got the job, but one has the certification required by the regulatory authorities to be able to do the business. You need to think that way also. The one other advantage, it meets customers' expectation more efficiently, right? So that a customer who says, okay, for the business we want CCTV cameras and we want fire alarm systems. And I go there and I realize, okay, if we want this to work properly, it needs a 24-hour power supply. And we know that in the industry, we have those who do inverters and solar systems, and we don't do it directly. What do? I just co-opt the person in to make my job quicker and easier. I recommend to the customer, okay, we're going to do this, but for this system to run 24/7, we need to have an alternative power supply to keep it running. Do you have somebody? Yes. I bring in the person in the same industry, and we are good to go. All right. So some very quick examples of where we have seen this collaboration, and I'm going to be a bit faster because I don't know how much time I have left. So first is Apple and Samsung, right? The collaboration they had, some of you may not know, and this is a fact, some of you may not know that Samsung manufactures key components of some of the Apple products. Example, the displays and the processors are manufactured by Samsung, because for Apple's iPhones and because Samsung has the technology and can do this quicker, and they produce these things for Apple, right? The competition, they fiercely compete in the smartphone and the electronic market. Of course, you know today that if you go towards Asia and some other parts, Samsung is a king. And then if you come to the West and this part of the world, Apple, and then, so there's a huge competition, fierce competition between two of them. But yet, Samsung produces some of the displays and processors for Apple. Now, why it works? Apple needs high quality components at scale. Samsung profits from supplying them, even to a rival. So that is one example that you must take note of. So that's one example. Another example is Spotify and Google Cloud. Spotify uses Google Cloud for its data infrastructure. So most of the things Spotify invents, generates, put together, they use the Google Cloud to make sure the infrastructure is safe and secure. And that's exactly how that works. But you will never know until you are told. But what's the competition? Both companies offer music streaming platforms. Spotify and YouTube Music is from Google. But there's a collaboration. So we need to start thinking that way. We cannot want to be master of everything, but sometimes collaboration works. Why it works? Spotify gains a reliable cloud partner, and Google earns revenue from cloud services, even from competitors. So think about that. Okay. Next one, airlines. This for me is the best of all the examples. Airline alliances. I told you I fly Qatar Airways, right? Qatar Airways is a member of the One World Alliance. Now, each time I'm flying to Japan, for example, I'll say more than 60-70% of the time when I fly Qatar Airways from here to Doha, I fly Japan Airlines from Doha to Japan. So sometimes, you'll see the sign says Qatar Airways, then on there it says operated by Japan Airlines. Competitors, but they are collaborating. The Star Alliance that Star Alliance, like Turkish Airline, and then of course you have the Sky Team, Air France, and KLM, and all of that. This for me is one typical example of collaboration. Turkish Airline today flies to more destinations, right, in the Star Alliance than anyone else. But even at that, it does not fly to every part of the world. There are places where for you to get to, if you buy the ticket on Turkish Airline, when you fly from here to Istanbul, they put you on a Star Alliance aircraft to the next destination. And that's how it works. So they share, they share the routes, code shares, lounge accesses, and frequent flyer benefit. If you go to even the Lagos airport, the international airport, you find out that the British airline and the Qatar Airways, it's the same airline lounge that they share. And you can benefit when you fly, whether it's Japan Airlines, Qatar Airways, or British Airways, on the same frequent flyer benefits. What is the competition? They compete on pricing. And that's the truth. That's what people look at when they buy tickets, pricing. Customer service, like I told you, for me, Qatar Airways is all in all for me. It doesn't matter what you say. And of course, the direct routes. Those who have direct routes, okay, so me to fly and get in here and then transit time, let me fly direct. If you want to go to Atlanta, Georgia, for example, you fly, Delta Airlines, it takes you straight from Lagos to Atlanta. But you can decide to go through Doha or through Dubai or through Istanbul. It's all your choice. So you need to look at that. So competition in pricing. Why it works? It expands global reach for customers without requiring every airline to fly it is impossible for any airline to fly all the routes. But when they collaborate, they go to all parts of the world. You need to begin to think your business in terms of your sales and your marketing to say, what are the opportunities that I can take to collaborate and get things going for myself. Okay, another one which I want to talk about is Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. Why they don't collaborate the indirect products, right? When it comes to sustainability initiatives, things like climate change, they collaborate because they know that if they do not put money together, whatever comes out of climate effects can affect their product in the future. So they collaborate. All right. So that is when the all for collaborative competition. I hope it makes a lot of sense on how we want to approach our customer, how you want to sell your product, how you want to reach bigger customers, be innovative. Collaboration is very important, even with your competition. The next one I want to talk about quickly is what we call the blue ocean strategy, visualizing blue ocean strategy. I will try to be very brief here because of time. I'm told I have about 10 or 15 minutes to get out of here. But I'm sure most of us know what blue ocean strategy is. So this visualizing, but let's try to break it down. What is blue ocean strategy? It's a strategic business framework in which companies achieve superior market positions by creating new and uncontested market spaces instead of competing in existing competitive market. Now, what does that do and what does it mean? Now, when we say creating a new and uncontested market spaces, it doesn't mean that you have to do something that is entirely new. Innovation is not about bringing something new. When you tweak, improve on what already exists and make it look as though it is new, that is also innovation, right? So blue ocean strategy, whether you're creating a new market or shifting your focus from where the market is saturated to where it is not saturated by just adding something that makes you different and unique, like I said, then you're creating a blue ocean strategy. But let's try to break it down a little more to understand how it works. Now, for you to understand blue ocean strategy and work properly, the first thing you need to do is to analyze your market without obsessing over competitors. I've said that before. Because sometimes, instead of going in to analyze the market and see what opportunities we have, our focus is going to go and analyze our competition. Go there and find out what the competition is doing. Who are they selling to? What are they not doing right? You are focused on your competition. Where there are opportunities that you are missing, you are obsessed with. So analyze your market. Understand what the market is, how big the market is, what are the opportunities in the market, right? What are the areas of the market that is not properly serviced, and how can we get into that? That's number one, very important. The other thing you need to do to achieve blue ocean is to identify real user pains. What are the pains of people who use the product or who are being serviced now and they're not satisfied? So your focus should be on getting users, right, who are not satisfied, not competitors and what they are doing. So when you understand the user's pain, where they feel dissatisfied, what they want more, where they want less, and all of that, it helps you to understand how you want to get in. Then you have to apply what we call the ERRC. So it means eliminate, reduce, remove, and cancel or create. So eliminate, reduce, remove, and of course create. But we're going to look at that. And then the last part is when you have done this entirely, then you have to do a prototype. Now, the mistake most people make is they spend so much money in bringing the product or those ideas into the market, and if it doesn't work, you lose a lot of money. So do a small prototype, test it first, and then when you test it and see what you need to refine, you refine it, and then you can launch big time. Don't put all the resources and energy into the prototype and then design it in massive, nature and then launch it. You have to do it small. But let's look at specifically the ERR. I want you to understand, because something I believe that you should apply in your business. Okay, so let's look at that. Now, eliminate. When you look at the market, understand the pains and do the analysis without focusing on the competition. You need to identify what are the things you need to eliminate. So factors that the industry has long competed on. Something people take for granted. Everybody just feels, okay, we are all in this market together. This is what everybody is fighting for, right? And you say, everybody is focusing here, and we're spending a lot of energy, resources, and we're not getting anything. So it says features no one uses, but everyone feels obligated to include it. I'm sure even in your phone, there are a lot of features of my phone that I'm not using. But because phone companies that are competing feels, this mobile phone has it, let us put it there. But people are not using it. Why do you have it there? Eliminate. And the same thing in your business. If there's something that you're doing all the time, and you're seeing that, look, people are not paying attention to, people don't even notice it. Everybody is doing the same thing. So it's not unique, it's not different. Please eliminate completely. The other one is reduce. And factors should be reduced way below the industry standards. Cost, for example, you must reduce your cost. Okay, the learning curve. You don't have to spend so much time for people to learn things. You're bringing talents in, and you say, okay, we'll do one thing today for you to learn, and we're going to do the next one after 4 weeks. No, if you can get them to learn everything within 2 weeks, why don't you do so? Even your setup time, you need to reduce it. Then raise. What factors should be raised well above the industry standard? This is where you have to be different. This is where you have to be unique, right? So personalization, and that's why today, there's a lot of personalized products that people have. When they know a particular market, a particular industry, a particular country, in a particular community, they build products, that is personalized to that catchment area. Because my transparency, that people can see clearly what you're providing. So it's different from others who will tell you, for example, they give you terms and conditions on your phone. They tell you this phone can do A, B, C, D thing. But how that works, they don't tell you. Others is okay. For us, we're asking you to do this, and we want to show you from beginning to the end how everything, so you can understand what you're going into and what to sign up to. Transparency. And the final one, which for me is the mother of innovation, is to create factors that the industry has never offered before. Example, new experiences, entirely new cases, new pricing models. Now, let me give you a specific example of companies that have done this so it can be driven home directly, right? Companies that have done it, and we are not just talking, but these are companies that we all know. And I'm going to be real quick here. So Netflix, before Netflix came, there were DVDs everywhere. Rental companies will go and pay and rent DVDs. You all remember that. But what is the story today? Netflix is one good example of a blue ocean company. They didn't create an entirely new industry or new business. The DVD we were renting was about movie, specifically about movie. And Netflix, instead of you to go there and rent the DVD, which is physical, we can make it easier for you to just pay and watch movies that you want to without going to get physical DVDs. And what happened? Most of those DVDs, they are gone into extinction today. That's one very good example that we need to learn. I don't want to waste so much time, but we know about Netflix. Paystack. I decided to use a Nigerian company now, so we're not focusing on foreign companies. E-payment solution, one very good example of blue ocean. Online payments in Nigeria, as we all know, were plagued by issues like failed transactions and poor user experiences. It was there. And then Paystack came in and simplified the process and integrated seamlessly with businesses, creating a new market where it became the default choice. I don't know if there's anyone on this call who has not used Paystack before. I don't know if there's anyone. And the story is there. It has grown from where it started today to a multi-million-dollar company and still providing service. Why? Because they took what was already in the market and say, how can we create something else out of this and make it look like it's new, that people don't have to suffer? And that's the benefit that we are deriving from Paystack today. The next one I want to talk about, maybe the last on this, is the Airbnb, about travel. You know that. I have experienced it, traveling, and most of us have experienced. Even in Nigeria now, a lot of Nigerians are making a lot of money from Airbnb. You travel from here to Enugu or to Abuja, or you go to Kenya, you go to New York, right? You can, from the comfort of your home, search for Airbnb and get it and pay ahead and come in there, and everything is there for you. Makes life a lot easier. You don't have to struggle. That is another blue ocean company. So the question you need to ask is, in your own industry, you want to become a sales marketing leader. What is your approach? How are you planning to be different? How are you planning to be unique? Like I said, it's not about being best. It's about being different, and it's about being unique. So, final point, I want to talk about culture, and I'm going to be quick. What is your company's culture? A good company culture plays a powerful role in enhancing market leadership because it creates the internal conditions that drive innovation, performance, and customer loyalty. Now, you see, it doesn't matter how fantastic your product is, the structure that you have. If your culture is not good, nothing can drive your structure to producing results. So the culture is very important. And what is that culture? It's about the investment you make in those who sell your product, those who promote your services, the employees, the stakeholders are in. That's the culture. How do you invest in their future, in their development? How do they feel? The compensations they get, the appreciation they get, the thank you they get, right? The improved knowledge they get. When they get to the work environment, how do they feel? When they go out and talk about your product, do they feel fulfilled that the product is delivering the promises? Because sometimes we have mission visions carved out, but our product is delivering something entirely different. So the culture of the company should be one that promotes, transparency and integrity. That when your people go out to talk about your product and your service, they are speaking because they know that you are delivering the vision, you are delivering the mission of the company. That's part of what culture is. And that's something we need to pay attention to. And that's why Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. This has been argued, but to a large extent, this works. And what does that mean? You can have all the strategy sessions you want. You can have the best structure, the best, governance system. You can have, the best cost-saving system and all of that. But if the culture of the company, is diluted, if it's toxic, if it's not encouraging and motivating enough, the strategy will become useless because you need the people to deploy and apply the strategy. The strategy will not apply itself. So all the fantastic ideas and strategy must be deployed by individuals. And if they do not feel that the culture of the company, affects them and they're not truly ingrained and integrated into it, nothing is going to happen. So the first way to look at that is to question yourself as the entrepreneur, the leader of the company, or if you're at a managerial level or you're leading at any level in the company, the question is, do you have a culture that is welcoming, that is inspiring, that is motivating, that is encouraging, that looks at, equality? It doesn't matter how you look, where you come from. If you can deliver the results, you should have an opportunity. Okay, that's it. So why does culture matter? I'm going to run this quickly. Now, the first is it attracts and retains top talents. That's why most people, when they want to go to any company, when they have an offer, they start checking for people who have worked in that company. They do researches to understand how the culture of the company is. And they get in when they feel comfortable. The other thing is it drives innovation and agility, right? When the teamwork is there, when people are not holding ideas, they are expressing their ideas, bringing their skills, expertise, because they feel comfortable and motivated, then innovation becomes, a given. It strengthens brand reputation. There are people who, when their product or service goes wrong, they start avoiding the customers, right? But with the right culture, when you can go face the customer and explain what has gone wrong and do everything necessary to correct it, because the brand reputation is at stake. And then the capacity, the willingness to defend that brand comes from what has happened internally and how motivated the employees are. It enables sustainable growth. There's nobody who feels welcome in the company. The culture is right. Right talent, right motivation, working environment, there's growth opportunities in the company. Why would you not work towards a sustainable growth? So culture acts as a guide force during scale, measures, crisis, keeping the teams aligned with long-term vision. And one quick example I just want to give is Microsoft culture shift. Under Natya Nadella was the former CEO of Microsoft. She helped, it reclaim market leadership through collaboration and learning. They invested in learning for Microsoft staff and employees, wherever you are. Whatever will help you perform, they invest to make sure you have it. And like we have explained, they decided to collaborate with some other competitors, and then that's why Microsoft, it doesn't matter what has happened. For many years, they are still there. Okay, so quickly, a good company culture builds the foundation for long-term market leadership by empowering people, aligning purpose, and accelerating innovation. Once the culture is right, then you can take it for granted that your customers will be loyal and that you become a market leader. I want to share something quickly which I would think will help you. I think I have just one or two more slides and I'll round up this because of time. I want you to look at what I have, and I want to encourage you in your businesses to consider these 9 areas. They are very important. I'm not going to try to explain all of this. Maybe the organizers can get further explanation from me, because I just wanted you to first in your company. If I had time, the idea you would have filled these boxes, but please look at what I have. The first thing you need to ask yourself is, in your business, you want to be, a sales marketing leader. Who are your key partners? The people who are in charge of your website, what are they doing? Those who are in charge of your online marketing stuff, who are they? Your suppliers, okay, who are they? Your investor stakeholders, who are they? You must identify all the key partners that you need to succeed. And it's not something you just do off the cuff. You must list them down and then prioritize them in their order of importance. When you understand them, you understand how to treat those key partners to ensure that they stay with you. That's number one. Number two, you must identify your key activities. Don't be jack of all trades. Which are the areas of strength that you have? Can you focus on that, improve on it, innovate, recreate? Your key activities, you must list them, itemize them clearly and say, this is what we are known for, this is what we do, and this is our area of focus. The next is, what are the key resources you need to be able to do that? Resources includes the humans also. It also includes tools in the office to be able to deliver. For example, if you deliver things, a delivery van that you need, the computers that you need, the softwares that you need, whatever you need, resources, human, you need to identify them and make sure that they are always available. Important. What's your value proposition? Why should one company leave one other, service provider to yourself? What's your value proposition? The value proposition should center around being unique and different, not about being the best. That's it. Because for every customer to leave one supplier or service provider to another one, the question is, why should I? What are you doing differently? What is unique? What is different about you? So you must know your value proposition to say this is it. There was a time when we were supposed to bring UPS in this country. I will tell you there's a difference between the normal UPS and the online UPS. Somebody said, what's the difference? So the online UPS, when you use it, ensures that the voltage or the current that enters every of your appliances, it doesn't matter how much the light fluctuates when you change over, is constant, the same. So some regular UPS, when there's a power, fluctuation, you hear kick on those UPS, right? But for online UPS, you don't hear anything like that. The online UPS, right, takes the power in and makes sure that the voltage that gets to your system is the same. When we explain that, we go, oh wow, that's what we need. So you need to be able to understand what your value proposition is. Then customer relationship. Who are the people who are in charge for you? Have they been trained properly? What feedback are you getting from the customers about the behavior and attitude of these customer relationship individuals? Then next is channels. How do you communicate? How do you send your product? I was giving an example the other day. You are into catering service. You have prepared everything and you're supposed to take it to the venue. It is the morning of the event you start looking for vehicle if you don't have for one. Why should you be doing that? So there are things you must understand. Even communication channels. It must be clear what is the channel you use in your delivery, in your connection, in communication, everything. Then customer segmentation. We must be able to understand, okay, our customers in FMCG products, in oil and gas, you must segment your customers. And then, because sometimes the approach cannot be the same, because their needs and their demands are different. Then I want to talk about revenue streams. Where do you get your monies from? You need to pay attention to that. And for you to be able to be clear whether the revenue that is coming, when you separate it, you have profit, you need to manage your cost structure. Sometimes we just spend the money without. And that's why, I know I'm not an expert in financing. If there's any staff that will not leave my office at all, it is the accountant. Because that keeps me in check to ensure that we have cost structure. What can we spend money on? What can we not spend money on? When you have a budget for something and you exhaust that budget, can you say, no, we're not spending any money again? We manage what, or you have to go and take from one side and put another, and then one other side suffers. So you must understand your cost structure. I want to conclude. But before I do that, I want to say, if you want to become a leader in sales, marketing in your industry, you must build relationships. Now, there are more businesses that come from referral than every other channel or avenue. In fact, referral businesses, come in 4 times more than every other one. If you like, go out there and make all the noise and shout. Yeah, it's important people can say it and then be able to come to you. But when you build relationship, the referrals that can come from it is unbelievable. So please work towards building relationships with your customer, with your clients, and that way they remain loyal to you, and then your competition will have to struggle to take you out. I want to say this. Ensure VCP, what I call VCP, I'll explain it quickly and I'll end. So V is visibility. I talked about that before, that you need to constantly be on the faces of your unexplored non-customers. Do everything possible to be on their faces. Even the conscious non-customers, those who know about your product but they're not buying, don't give them peace, be on their faces, but don't do it in a way that they feel that you're dating them, you're embarrassing them. You need to be systematic and strategic about it. So visibility, use all the different social media platforms you can, all the avenues. We're talking about leadership in sales marketing, right? You have to be available, you have to be visible everywhere and anywhere where you think people will need your product. So use whatever tool, spend all the money, do all the investment, be visible. But more importantly, and more important than visibility is credibility. In fact, it is from credibility that referrals come, right? So if your existing customers believe that you are credible, that what you promise you deliver and over deliver, it's easier for them to refer you to others. And I can tell you that we have got more business through referral of companies who provided services, and they were able in the association so people had some challenges with the association. In fact, in a day we got 4 calls after the association meeting because one client feels very sad and believes that we have credibility. So credibility comes from ensuring that you are accountable, that you deliver the right quality, the right prices. Don't go and give price for a German quality product and go and deliver a Chinese product, right? That's lack of credibility. Because there's a saying that the loss of money, loss of everything, these are great, but when you lose credibility, it's such a loss that you can almost never recover. So credibility is very important after visibility. Do whatever it is to make sure you are credible and you can get loyalty. For me today, Qatar Airways is credible. It doesn't matter what you say because of my experience with them. So even when they make a mistake, I just swallow it and move on. To be honest, I don't care. And I still, that is customer loyalty, because they've been able to, every opportunity for discount air flights they get, I see it all the time. They bring it to me, and I benefited from some of those. Even sometimes I use my miles to buy ticket that would have paid 2.5 million. I use my miles to buy it because of that. And then the last one is profitability. So I'm saying visibility and credibility will bring about profitability. You cannot become profitable without visibility and credibility. If you do that, your customers will not only love you, they will speak for you, defend you, and then be able to even sometimes be selling your product because they know you. They will be marketing your product to potential customers and referrals. When you get to that point where a customer speaks for you, defend you, like I'm doing for Qatar Airways now, then you are a leader in the industry. Sales and marketing becomes a lot easier, and you can go to bed knowing that you're an autopilot because you have trained your people, your customers know them, and you know what you can deliver. I want to say thank you for this opportunity. That's the end of my presentation for this EMC class 5.0. Thank you so much. Thank you, JCI Ibadan Elite, for this opportunity. If there are questions, we're more than willing and more than happy to take them. Thank you so much.